we practiced what we preached, and we were able to take a company that was doing less than $1 billion in annualized sales and 100 deals a month to upwards of $20 billion with 85,000 active merchants. Success is meaningful for everybody that is around you and in your community. We're doing something that hasn't been done before. It's a more of a modernized approach. We believe in the customer. We believe in our employees. We believe in our community. I think a vision that represents the best thing you can do for your stakeholders and your employees and your customers is what drives our innovation to payments in this case, and is what has been the staple of our success.
All right, today I'm so excited to welcome one of my favorite clients, and we're probably not supposed to have favorites in this world, but you are definitely one of them, Todd Linden, CEO of Woodforest Acceptance Solutions, on Behind the Success today. Thank you for joining me.
I'm glad to be here.
All right, you've had a prolific career. I know you've had tons of ups and downs, but I want to understand, you were born in Illinois, you lived in California for a long time, now you're a Texan. Talk to me about those early years as you started to build your career.
Well, first of all, once you become a Texan, you were never anything else.
Okay, so not an Illinoisan. I don't even know what you call those.
I don't either. No, it's at 10 years old, my father took a teaching job at the University of Southern California, and we moved to Pasadena, California, actually, where I was a high school athlete and had some success as an athlete. And remarkably, in starting my career, the second largest payment center, card center as we used to refer to them back in the day, mostly for the issuing of credit cards, was at 101 South Marengo in Pasadena, California. It was second only to the Sioux Falls Citibank card issuing business. So I got a job there for 18 hours a week while in college, and it was great. I thought I was actually making a lot of money for 18 hours a week. It was in voice authorization, which doesn't exist anymore because we use terminals. And I watched my supervisors and my managers and everybody that worked in this operating center that had, maybe 2,000 employees in it. It was 4 stories. It had no windows, and it had no windows for security purposes. And so it was the genesis of Bank of America, was the genesis of the Visa card. So as I watched and examined the way people worked there, I started to offer up on an unsolicited basis, I might add, my ideas around some things, and quickly got added to some special projects. And I ended up going full time. I ended up with a boss named George Morales. And George was a VP, and he had a certain part of the merchant business, which was combined with the issuing business back then at all banks. And I ended up working full time. I ended up moving around and being promoted, and I really enjoyed the business. And that is how somehow I spent nearly 10 years with Bank of America, again, first in Pasadena, California, and then moving to San Francisco, where I was really involved with the bank, where the bank was headquartered, and I was exposed to leadership at all levels. The merchant acquiring business had been spun out from the issuing business, so they separated. They were on 2 separate P&Ls, which was also interesting because I was right at the tail end of kind of the legacy of credit cards, where the acquiring business was only there to accommodate the acceptance of the card. It wasn't there to provide any real value to any merchants. And so it was almost forced upon them, right? If you don't accept, you can't get this payment from people. So it was really interesting, and I feel that I really benefited from knowing some of the people that were there at the beginning, but then also watching the space become modernized. And I think that background was really helpful to me in my career.
So talk to me about some of the early obstacles as you built your career.
I think technology, I wouldn't call it an obstacle. I think that I fell victim to my own ideas. I was energetic about value adds. I left the bank and I started a company called Risk Management Systems, where I used with another partner, I bought a piece of a service bureau business, and we provided a risk management platform, and we were able to I had amazing success. I had First National Bank of Omaha when it had a direct payment business. I had NDC, which we now call Global Payments. And I even had, honestly, Delta Card Services, which, 20 years later, I ended up becoming the CEO of in Texas, and which was sold to PaySafe as it happened. So, but that technology piece in taking transaction data and adding value to that data. For the risk management purposes, it was straightforward and very necessary. But then to look at that and see how could we do more with that, which became evident to some of my customers, because I had to change the name of Risk Management Systems to Card Commerce, because we helped Michael Bronner, who was an entrepreneur who founded a company called You Promise, the way to save for college. And he was attracted to our platform just to match what we called registered card loyalty at the time, where you would register a payment vehicle, go to a merchant, and a certain percentage of that sale on that registered card would be settled into a college savings program on behalf of aunts and uncles and parents. And we were the matching system for that. And we met great resistance, right? Data was scary. I was, what we now call PCI was originally called KISP, and it was a Visa program, and then MasterCard identified it. So we met struggle with where we all live today in this very modernized approach to data. So I would think I would think that was probably the obstacle that may have been frustrating and somewhat delayed. During that whole time came the advent of the internet too. So it was just, and by internet, I mean not the advent of the internet's invention, but the e-commerce kind of boom, right, where everything started to happen. So it was when you're a small entrepreneur in that ocean at that time, it was challenging.
So let's transition to more semi-recently. You've built companies and you've sold companies. Talk to us a little bit about the success that you've had in that arena before we jump into how you jumped back in with Woodforest Acceptance.
Well, I've been fortunate. I've been around a lot of great people. That is, and I have a great team. My team now has been with me for a long time. I tell people often, how do you keep this team together? And I say, well, I think that there's a certain kind of synergy that when you can accomplish it, and it exists, where I can be in New York and one of my team members, one of my direct reports can be in San Francisco, and no one's ever worried about whether or not we're talking about the same things in the same way. That has a lot to do with the success. But what that comes from is vision. And we've always had a vision and I think it's shared with our bank partner and a group of people that I've been together with now for the better part of 15 years, where we believe in the customer, we believe in our employees, we believe in our community. And so when that all comes together and there's that kind of alignment, it brings about an energy that is embodied by a workforce that is driven through the passionate advancement of the vision. And I wanted to use the word agenda, but it's not the way. I don't want to be one of which an agenda exists. I think a vision that represents the best thing you can do for your stakeholders and your employees and your customers is what drives our innovation to payments in this case, and is what has been the staple of our success.
The smartest entrepreneurs don't just create businesses, they create content that scales them. At PS Studios, we work with high-level entrepreneurs and creators across the country. Some fly in every month to shoot with us in sunny Scottsdale. Others send us their raw footage and we turn it into scroll-stopping, authority-building content. From filming to editing to distribution, we handle it all. Done for you. Turnkey content that grows your audience, elevates your brand, and keeps you top of mind. Leaders don't wait, they create. Schedule your call today. So you started MCPS. You built it for how many years before you ended up selling it?
I didn't, so it was actually a customer. So the corporate name is Delta Card. So that was my customer back on the risk management system. It was a 30-year-old company when we sold it. Woodforest Bank had bought it from some founders that are also bank shareholders and good friends of mine. And we found each other in 2010, and I came in and it was struggling at the time. I think that it was a dated model. It was just dated. It needed a little bit of a technology lift. The bank had spun it out in 2006. Banks were trying to distance themselves from a risk perspective at the time from merchant acquiring. And so I came in and brought in the team and grew the team from that point forward. We started really listening to our partners, which were largely ISOs at the time, independent sales organizations, and we listened to them and we practiced what we preached, and we were able to take a company that was doing, less than $1 billion in annualized sales and 100 deals a month to upwards of $20 billion with 85,000 active merchants, a larger merchant than any of the other peer super ISOs out there. I think our average merchant was around $30,000 a month. In the ISO community, it's around 10. And we did that through product and empathy. So what we tried to do is we tried to gain consensus amongst our partners and listen to what they needed to be successful and help them be successful. Paid a lot of attention to them, and we built a great business. We didn't run a process to sell the company. It was more of a preemptive thing. But it worked out well, and it was a 30-year-old company, and it was just, frankly, a good time to transact, I guess.
What year was that?
2017. So in 7 years we had done that work.
At that point, you no longer need to do anything ever again if you don't want to. But here you are, the CEO of Woodforest Acceptance Solutions. What made you decide, you know what, I'm getting back out there and I'm going to do this bigger and better than I did it before?
Well, I have a couple reasons. I have a good friend and mentor in Robert Marling, who is the CEO of the bank today. For a while, he had been the CEO of the bank and really the founder of the bank, and it grew the bank. He's been chairman of the holding company for a long time. Came back in now as he's doing some things for a while with the bank again. But we had been talking about the fact that the bank has a legacy in payments, a great one. On the issuing side, they have 2 million debit cards issued. On the acquiring side, they have 40 years of tenure, which is only, their peer in their history in payments with the B of A's and the Wells. I mean, it's an incredible story for a bank of that size. It's a very strong bank. It's a very, community-driven bank. But we were talking about what would be like to, we're good at it, let's get back at it. And Robert and I started talking, and I said, this time, let's reinvent payments and do it the right way. Let's add, a level of technology, transparency, integrity, and try to reinvent the space so that it's actually a value proposition for our customers to have a partner that not only processes their payments, but gives them back the feedback of those payments, the knowledge that those payments say to the customer after the transaction has been consummated, so that they can use that data, they can use those insights, they can use that business intelligence and grow their business. And we just believe that it's a time now where payments should mean more than they ever have before. It's become commoditized for no reason. It just, like I've said many times, over and over again, actually, in the last few months, the payment processor lives and occupies such a large role in any business that accepts payments, yet they fulfill so little. And as a result of that, business that accept payments don't hold their payment processing partner in high regard. And I don't know of anything that's more important, right? And so why is that? It's because there's been a lack of true empathy for the space. There's been a lack of value that comes from that relationship. So we're putting that back. We're adding that back in. And the difficulty in doing that is you have to have partners that believe in your vision, believe in the technology, believe in what you're doing for the space, and they've got to be able to explain that intelligently to the merchant community so that the merchant community can absorb, for the first time in many cases, a value proposition that's worth, taking part of.
And so you jumped back in officially launching the company in 2019 or 2020?
It was 2020, and we built a platform. We partnered with Visa on this primarily, and have partners at Repay. We have partners with others as well. But it's been really great. We're doing something that hasn't been done before. It's a more of a modernized approach, a lot of fun, and just really have really worked hard to, again, take a real empathetic approach to where we need to build the platform and where it needs to go in the future.
A couple of my final questions are, one, centering around capitalism. What lessons about building wealth and opportunity stands out the most to you?
Lessons. It's everything, right? It's the belief that success is meaningful for everybody that is around you and in your community. Success belongs to everyone as an example of how this country works. And we believe that, and we practice that, and we give back, and we participate. Robert often says, sometimes, we can't give enough of our time, but we give as much money. And when you do both, you're truly successful. And we believe that we have to do both. We need to be active, and we need to contribute both financially and participate, as people in the process of helping others.
What does the American dream mean to you personally?
Freedom. It means the ability to make dreams happen for your family, for your community, to lift people and grow people that work with you and for you. It's a path that can only be provided in the world that we live in this country. I mean, freedom is about growth. It's about vision. It's about passion, and it's what the American dream is. The American dream is freedom.
Lastly, when people look behind your success, what do you hope that they see and can take away?
I hope they see drive, and that your vision for what you're passionate about is very achievable if you're willing to stay fluid, keep, a strong work ethic towards, your goals. And when you make sure that your goals are aligned with the people that you represent, I want to be, I want to be thought of that way. That he innovated things. He was a good leader, a good partner, a good friend, and that's what's important to me. And you're a part of that. So much of our success in this new build has been, more about communicating a story and illustrating a vision. And what you've done for us has been such a big part of that. We talk about that a lot. That we're very grateful to you, Layla, and your team here, because you've helped us illustrate that vision so that it gets out in front of people in the right way. And it's constant, it's sustainable, and it's ever changing. And we appreciate that a lot.
Thank you. We love working with you. It's been beautiful to be a part of this vision for the last 2.5. Well, I guess this is year 3. So
Yes.
We're entering into year 3. And it's amazing to see how much has gotten done with you at the helm. Your vision is relentless, and you hold everyone to the highest standard, which is the kind of environment that we all, I think, want to be a part of. It's terrible to be in a low performing situation in life, I think. And that's how we all rise to our potential, is people like you who support, have the vision, are able to articulate it and continue to lead, but also empower the rest of us around you to be able to step into our zones of excellence to make all of that happen. Because it is a team approach, which is another thing I love about you, is that you've had this team around you for so long. You continue to bring people back together, and the future, it's an exciting future. It's great to be a part of. So
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for joining me on this episode. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, all of our past episodes and everything can be found at pscreativestudios.com.